Why is life so hard for young adults today? Young adults today are stepping into a world that feels completely unfair. It's like the game is rigged from the start, and no matter how hard they try, they just can't catch a break. The economy, the job market, and even basic living costs are working against them in ways older generations didn't have to deal with. Here's why young people are so frustrated, and they have every right to be. Of course, the main reason everyone is struggling is the lack of wage increases. Let's start with money. For decades, wages have barely gone up, but the price of everything else, like housing, groceries, and gas, keeps climbing higher and higher. A job that used to pay enough to support a family now barely lets someone live on their own. And don't even get started on minimum wage. It hasn't been raised in years while rent and bills have skyrocketed. It's like young adults are expected to live on scraps and be happy about it. And don't even get me started on how much housing is ridiculous. Buying a house? Forget it. Home prices are insane, and on top of that, interest rates are through the roof. Even renting isn't much better. In most cities, rent is so expensive it eats up half of your paycheck. How is anyone supposed to save for a house or even an emergency fund when they're barely making it month to month? People say, oh, just stop buying lattes, as if skipping coffee will magically make rent affordable. It's insulting. Student debt is crushing people. Young adults were told to go to college, that it was the only way to get a good job. Now they're drowning in student loans with degrees that sometimes don't even lead to decent paying work. The average student debt is tens of thousands of dollars, and paying it back feels impossible when wages are so low. It's like the system set them up to fail, promising opportunity but delivering a lifetime of debt. If we talk about the cost of living, groceries, gas, utilities, everything is way more expensive than it was even 4 years ago. Healthcare? Don't even think about getting sick, because a single medical bill can ruin you financially. Want to start a family? That costs an arm and a leg too. People aren't being dramatic when they say they can barely afford to live. The job market isn't any better. You can't even get an entry-level job without years of experience, and internships, most of them unpaid, are basically a requirement. Oh, and those jobs that used to come with health insurance and pensions, a lot of them have been replaced by contract gigs with zero benefits. Employers want young adults to work harder for less while offering nothing in return. It's no wonder people are burned out. Here's the thing. The rich keep getting richer, while everyone else is struggling to survive. The top 1% control almost everything, and the rest are just trying to scrape by. Younger generations are being told to save and invest, while the older generations have already reaped the benefits of a system that no longer works for most people. The inequality is infuriating for Gen Z. And then there's social media. Everywhere you look, it seems like people your age are buying houses, getting promoted, or living their best lives. But it's a lie. Most people are struggling just as much as you are, but no one posts about that. The pressure to look successful all the time is exhausting and makes it feel like you're failing even when you're not. Is it any surprise that young adults are dealing with more anxiety and depression than ever before? All of this stress, money problems, job insecurity, social pressure, it adds up. And yet mental health care is too expensive for most people to afford. So what are they supposed to do? Just suffer in silence? It's cruel. Here's the truth. It's not that young adults are lazy or entitled. They're working just as hard, if not harder, than older generations did. The problem is the system is broken. Wages are too low, housing is unaffordable, debt is crushing, and the cost of living is out of control. People love to say, just work harder, but that's not the solution. Young adults aren't failing the system is failing them. And it's about time we stopped blaming individuals and started fixing the root of the problem. Until that happens, it's no wonder young people are frustrated, angry, and fed up. They deserve better, plain and simple. A major reason the economy feels so restrictive is the overwhelming burden of government regulations on businesses. These rules often stifle innovation and growth, especially for small businesses, the backbone of the economy. Overregulation in industries like energy, technology, and manufacturing drives up costs, which trickle down to consumers. Young adults end up paying higher prices for goods and services, while job opportunities shrink as businesses struggle to expand under these constraints. High taxes, particularly on middle-income earners and small businesses, reduce disposable income and discourage entrepreneurship. While large corporations often find loopholes, smaller businesses and individuals deal with excessive tax burdens. Young adults face this directly. Their paychecks are smaller because of taxes that fund bloated government programs, many of which they will never see the benefits from. The expansion of welfare programs and government assistance has led to a culture of dependency that stifles economic growth. Incentives to work are reduced when people can rely on the government for support rather than striving to improve their financial situations. This creates a vicious cycle where fewer people are working, contributing to tax revenue, and innovating in the private sector, further weakening the economy for everyone, especially younger generations. Government overspending and stimulus packages have contributed significantly to rising inflation. Printing trillions of dollars to fund programs has devalued the currency, making everyday necessities more expensive. Young adults, who are already earning less, are hit hardest by these rising costs. Inflation erodes savings and increases the cost of loans, like student loans and mortgages, creating a financial chokehold. Shifts toward aggressive green energy policies have driven up energy prices and reduced economic stability. While environmental goals are important, policies that prematurely shut down fossil fuel industries without viable replacements lead to skyrocketing utility costs and job losses in energy-dependent sectors. Young people feel this directly in their energy bills and indirectly in the increased cost of goods that rely on transportation and production. Globalization has moved manufacturing and other industries overseas, where labor is cheaper. This has gutted many U.S. industries and left young adults with fewer high-paying, stable jobs in fields like manufacturing and skilled trades. Instead, they are often forced into lower-paying service jobs or precarious gig work with no benefits. Meanwhile, foreign countries benefit from the wealth and resources of America. The decline of traditional family structures and values has played a role in economic challenges. Strong families historically provided a safety net and instilled work ethics and financial responsibility. The cultural shift away from these values has led to increased dependence on government systems rather than self-reliance and community support. The student debt crisis is another area where government intervention has backfired. Federal student loan programs artificially inflated the cost of higher education, allowing universities to hike tuition without fear of losing students. Young adults are now saddled with massive debt for degrees that don't always translate into good-paying jobs. The private sector might have been able to keep costs in check through competition, but government guarantees removed that pressure. Immigration policies that encourage an influx of low-wage labor have undercut job opportunities and wages for American workers. Young adults, particularly those without advanced degrees, face steeper competition for jobs, pushing wages even lower in industries like construction, agriculture, and service. The focus on accommodating undocumented workers has shifted resources away from young Americans who are trying to start their careers. There's been a cultural shift where personal responsibility and hard work are often de-emphasized. This creates an environment where entitlement grows, productivity decreases, and businesses hesitate to invest in the next generation of workers. While older generations often faced fewer barriers, they also embraced grit and resilience, values that are sometimes dismissed in today's culture. Critics argue that the Federal Reserve's manipulation of interest rates has distorted the economy. Artificially low interest rates encouraged reckless borrowing and inflated bubbles in the housing and stock markets. When rates were inevitably raised to combat inflation, young people found themselves locked out of home ownership and other long-term investments. Unfair trade deals and an over-reliance on imports have weakened American industries, increasing dependency on foreign markets. This has led to job losses and less economic resilience. Protecting domestic manufacturing and reducing reliance on global supply chains would create more jobs for young adults and stabilize the economy. The challenges facing young adults today are undeniable, and they stem from a complex mix of systemic issues and cultural shifts. From stagnant wages and skyrocketing costs of living to crushing student debt and a volatile job market, young people are grappling with an economy that feels rigged against them. Both left-leaning and right-leaning perspectives provide critical insights into the root causes, whether it's government overreach, corporate greed, or cultural shifts undermining traditional values. On one hand, systemic issues like wage inequality, corporate tax loopholes, and underfunded public programs have created a landscape where young people struggle to gain financial stability. On the other hand, excessive government regulation, misguided energy policies, and an over-reliance on government assistance have hindered opportunities for economic growth and self-reliance. Together, these factors paint a grim picture. Young adults are trapped in a system that seems unwilling or unable to support their aspirations. What's clear is that the blame doesn't lie with young people themselves. They're not lazy, entitled, or unmotivated. They're navigating an economic reality that's fundamentally different from what older generations experienced. The solution isn't about finger-pointing. It's about addressing the systemic problems while fostering personal responsibility and creating pathways for success. Real change will require a balance between reducing government overreach and encouraging free market solutions, while also addressing inequality and ensuring essential opportunities like affordable housing, education, and healthcare are within reach. If we want to see young adults thrive, society needs to recognize the barriers they face and work collectively across political and ideological lines to create an economy that rewards hard work, innovation, and resilience. Only then can the next generation hope to build a future as bright as the one promised to them.